Released in 1993, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas takes place in the strange and ghoulish world of Halloween Town, where Jack Skellington acts as the town's Pumpkin King, where he helps to lead the town's Halloween celebrations. However, after discovering a portal to Christmas Town, Jack becomes fascinated with this new, unfamiliar holiday season, where he wants Halloween Town to learn about and embrace Christmas, and to try and partake in Christmas celebrations. In this surreal modern fairy tale, which explores Burton's visual love for German expressionism, displayed in mesmerizing stop-motion animation, creating a spooky movie full of memorable musical numbers and visual delights. So today we are going to explore this haunting but feel-good masterpiece by looking into 10 things that you didn't know about The Nightmare Before Christmas. So let's check it out. Number 10. The Nightmare Before Christmas started as a poem. In the early 80s, a young Tim Burton worked in the animation department of the Walt Disney Company. In 1982, he made the stop-motion animation movie Vincent, which is actually technically classed as Disney's second horror movie, and the movie itself only lasted 6 minutes. After completing Vincent, Burton wrote a poem called The Nightmare Before Christmas. The poem was 3 pages long, and it was a reflection on Burton's childhood fascinations with holidays like Halloween and Christmas. He also drew inspiration from other fictional works, such as How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And thus The Nightmare Before Christmas was Burton's contributions to the fable of everlasting Christmas tales. Number 9. Where to take the nightmare. So the big question was, where should Burton take his haunting Christmas tale once he had written the poem? Well, one idea that Burton did have was to turn it into a storybook, which actually would have worked out really well. Another idea was to make The Nightmare Before Christmas a TV special, with a voiceover narration from the legendary Vincent Price, who was one of Burton's childhood heroes. Burton had started to create concept designs for The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Disney, at first, were enthusiastic about the project, and were considering either making The Nightmare Before Christmas to be a short film, much in the same vein as Burton's previous short movies Vincent and Frankenweenie, or to make the spooky festive tale a TV special, as Burton had originally planned. But oh boy, Disney were about to drastically change their minds. Number 8. Disney found The Nightmare Before Christmas too weird. In 1983, Burton didn't end up turning The Nightmare Before Christmas into a TV special. Instead, he directed a TV special of Hansel and Gretel. And the special simply has to be seen to be believed. It looks exactly how a low-budget TV special directed by Tim Burton would look. And to this day, it's probably one of the most strangest and surreal pieces the filmmaker has ever worked on, as this version of the Brothers Grimm fairy tale also features robots, beds with creepy arms, ninja stars, candy cane nunchucks, and the creepiest gingerbread man you've ever seen in your life. Because, you know, Burton. So why am I spending so much time talking about this Hansel and Gretel TV special? Well, simply because if The Nightmare Before Christmas was the TV special instead, this is probably what it could have looked like. So it's interesting. The truth of the matter was, Disney changed their minds about A Nightmare Before Christmas, as they found the idea to be too weird, and the following year in 1984, Burton was fired from the company. But it wasn't all bad for Burton, as his career as an uprising filmmaker took off from there, as in 1985 he directed Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and he would go on to really hit acclaim with Beetlejuice, Batman, and Edward Scissorhands, where Burton was now one of the most sought-after directors of his generation. But despite all these new fame and riches, Burton never lost sight of turning his Christmas tale into a feature. Number 7. Disney then changed their minds largely thanks to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Even though in the early 80s Burton didn't get to direct The Nightmare Before Christmas, it didn't stop him from having his Jack Skellington character subtly showing up every now and then in other movies. He appeared in the short film Vincent, as well as his head turning up on Beetlejuice's carousel headwear in Beetlejuice. And the character would even make a cameo after The Nightmare Before Christmas, showing up in fellow stop-motion animation movie James and the Giant Peach. In the early 90s, Burton wanted to get back to making his haunting Christmas tale. But the problem was Disney owned the rights to the story, thanks to its failed earlier production. Burton, now being the bigger filmmaker that he was, approached Disney, along with stop-motion director Henry Selick, about the possibility of making a feature-length stop-motion animation feature based on The Nightmare Before Christmas. And Disney chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg was excited about the project, as he felt that it could continue what Who Framed Roger Rabbit had started a few years earlier, to tell an insightful story while also displaying innovative, never-before-seen animation techniques. So, yeah, The Nightmare Before Christmas was kind of greenlit as an attempt to follow Who Framed Roger Rabbit's footsteps. Spoilers, they're nothing alike. Number 6, Burton had to step down as director because of Batman Returns. Despite the fact the movie is called Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, and aesthetically it looks like a Tim Burton movie, what with his usual visual style of German expressionism, the movie wasn't actually directed by the visionary director, contrary to popular belief. Burton couldn't commit as director, as at that time he was also directing his Batman sequel, Batman Returns. And he just wouldn't have been able to direct that movie while also having to deal with the lengthy process of stop-motion animation. So Burton got stop-motion animation film director Henry Selick to be The Nightmare Before Christmas's director. After The Nightmare Before Christmas, Selick would go on to direct James and the Giant Peach, Monkey Bone, and Coraline. So he had a keen eye when it came to animated visuals. And The Nightmare Before Christmas was Tim Burton's third Christmas-themed movie in a row, starting with Edward Scissorhands and followed by Batman Returns. So it seems that Burton has a fascination with exploring the dark side of the otherwise festive season. Number 5. The Nightmare Before Christmas became a musical due to difficulties writing the script. When it came to writing the script based on his poem, Burton hired novelist and scriptwriter Michael McDowell, as he had previously written the script for Tim Burton's Beetlejuice movie. But Burton and McDowell clashed over the dialogue, which prompted Burton to make the movie a musical, where he teamed up with frequent musical collaborator Danny Elfman to write songs that'll help to tell the story, with the movie being developed around the songs and not the other way around. All the songs in the movie have become classics, and Elfman even said that writing the songs and the music for the movie was one of his easiest jobs, as he felt that he had a lot in common with Jack Skellington. With the songs now written, fellow novelist and scriptwriter Carolyn Thompson came on board to work on a new script. Thompson also previously worked with Burton, having written the script for Edward Scissorhands. Despite the fact that Thompson is credited as writing the screenplay, The Nightmare Before Christmas's director Henry Selick stated that very few lines in the movie are by Thompson, as during the movie's production she got heavily involved with other movies, with Selick and Burton themselves having to do frequent rewrites, as well as construct the movie visually. Number 4. Voice talents. So what about the cast of The Nightmare Before Christmas? The actors who lent their voices to help bring the characters to life. Chris Sarandon was the voice of Jack Skellington. Sarandon previously played Jerry the Vampire in Fright Night, as well as the cop in Child's Play. Danny Elfman was also the singing voice for Jack Skellington. Catherine O'Hara voiced Sally, Jack's ragdoll love interest. O'Hara previously starred as Delia Dietz in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, as well as star as Kevin McAllister's mum in the Home Alone movies. Fellow Beetlejuice star William Glenn Shaddix, who played Ofo in that movie, voiced the mayor of Halloween Town. Veteran actor William Hickey lent his voice for the Dr. Finkelstein character. And actor and singer Ken Page was the voice of Oogie Boogie, the sinister boogeyman. Paul Reubens played Locke, a trick-or-treating henchman for Oogie Boogie, and legendary voice actor Frank Welker played Zero, Jack's ghostly pet dog. Interestingly, a prologue and epilogue was recorded by Patrick Stewart, but the actors' narrations were subsequently cut from the final film. However, Stewart's prologue and epilogue was eventually used for the movie's soundtrack album. Ironically, Patrick Stewart would go on to voice the prologue and epilogue for the Ted movies, of which the first one is sort of a Christmas movie. Number 3. Disney panicked over the lack of Jack Skellington's eyes. Filming began for The Nightmare Before Christmas in 1991, with the movie being filmed in studios located in San Francisco. 20 sound stages in total were used. Director Henry Selick said that the most daunting task was making it look like a Tim Burton movie, on the account that it was a production that Burton wasn't really that hands-on with. He likened the movie to be an egg that Burton had laid, and he just had to sit on it and hatch it, which is an interesting way of putting it. The look of the movie was designed to be German Expressionism meets Dr. Seuss, and a total of 440,000 shots were taken for the movie in order to bring the stop motion to life, as well as 227 puppets being created. The Jack Skellington puppet alone had 400 different heads created in order for the character to display different emotions. One major issue Disney had with the production was Jack's dark, hollowed-out eye sockets. Disney felt that the character should have friendly-looking eyeballs, in order for the audience to be able to connect with the character. But despite this insistence, the production stuck with Jack to be a character to not have eyeballs, which is just as well as his look is perfect the way that it is, and giving him eyeballs just wouldn't have looked right. So kudos to them for that. Incidentally, Disney decided that The Nightmare Before Christmas may be a little too off the cuff and spooky for the more wholesome Disney brand, which at the time was producing movies like Aladdin and The Muppet Christmas Carol. So they decided to have their more adult division, Touchstone Pictures, produce the movie. Number 2. Burton put a stop to a sequel. Tim Burton actually managed to convince Disney to not make a Nightmare Before Christmas sequel all the way back in 2001, when the company was considering making a part 2 of Burton's nightmarish Christmas tale, which would have ditched stop-motion animation in favour of computer animation. Burton opposed the idea of a sequel, as he wanted to protect the purity of A Nightmare Before Christmas, rather than it becoming a cash-grab franchise. From 2006 to 2009, Disney would re-release A Nightmare Before Christmas with a 3D conversion, making it the first stop-motion animated feature to be shown in 3D. In 2004, there was a sequel of sorts, with the video game The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge, which was set 1 year after the events of the movie, where Oogie sets out to cause chaos in the town of Halloween, where Jack must stop him. Yeah, look, I've never played this game, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. Between 2015 and 2018, Disney produced a live-action stage show based on The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it was shown in places like the Hollywood Bowl, London, Glasgow, and Dublin, and it even saw some of the cast and crew returning, such as Danny Elfman and Catherine O'Hara. In 2019, Disney once again were contemplating a new Nightmare Before Christmas movie, and even considered making it a live-action movie, much like what they have done with other properties that they own, like The Lion King and Aladdin. And even Jack Skellington actor Chris Sarandon said that he would be up for returning, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Personally, I think The Nightmare Before Christmas is perfect the way that it is, and doesn't need any more movies. Number 1. The box office success before Christmas. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas was released on October the 29th, 1993, and it was hugely successful, earning $91.5 million on a $26 million budget. It was considered a sleeper hit, as it made more than Disney had anticipated, as they felt the movie was too dark and scary for their usual child audience. But the movie's success proved them wrong with flying colours. The movie also got great praise from critics, who found it to be a visual delight, as well as being an insightful original Christmas fairy tale that's bound to please both adults as well as children. Roger Ebert went as far as calling the movie as revolutionary as Star Wars. The movie's popularity has increased in time, with it being a widely celebrated movie. To this day, it's compulsive viewing on both Halloween and Christmas by a large scale of fans who adore this movie, who can't get enough of its characters, visual styles, and musical numbers. By definition, The Nightmare Before Christmas is a cult movie. There have been debates over the years as to whether or not The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. My answer to this debate is, well, why not both? The Nightmare Before Christmas is a beautiful looking movie. Even though some of its visuals look creepy and surreal, it's nothing short of being a stunning movie to look at. To me, it's a fascinating movie experience unlike any other. So if you want to see a modern Christmas fairy tale that is unique and one that you'll always remember, then definitely check out The Nightmare Before Christmas. Anyway, I'm Minty, and if you're watching this video over Christmas, then Merry Christmas. And if you're watching it later on Halloween, then Happy Halloween. Why not both? See ya!